Greetings friends, welcome back to my channel and I hope you are doing well this weekend. In this video, I would like us to look at a number of pairs and basically I would like us to consider the bigger picture. We are looking at how these pairs will be playing out in the remaining part of this year as well as 2026 and if possible in 2027 as well. So we are using the weekly chart for all the pairs that I'm sharing today. And friends, these are very good or very strong moves that are expected. So it's very good to pay attention to them. And of course, since I'm using weekly charts, it means that scalpers are excluded from this analysis or from use of this analysis, except for those who are good at using their top-down analysis. Maybe they can benefit. Otherwise, I'm doing this specifically for those who trade like investors. So let's look at AUDCAD, which is our first pair in this video. What we can see is that technically we have this move to the upside and then we leave this key level here. We can see that later on, price started pushing to the downside. The chart which was making higher highs and higher lows going upwards, it's now making lower lows and lower highs going to the downside. So in my opinion, the trend, as we can see, we have this trend line, which is going to the downside. We have this key level, we have this key level, and we have this key level. To me, I think that between now and end of this year, and even thereafter, we may see sellers for AUDCAD continue to accumulate. Therefore, what I'm looking for now are selling opportunities, and I'll do my best to ignore all buying opportunities between now and 2026, and most likely 2027. But for now, my focus is on 2026 and 2025. So we are looking at the time remaining in this year and probably next year as well. We are strictly looking for selling opportunities for AUDCAD, and therefore this is the move we are looking for. So I expect that price will be controlled by this trend line, and they will continue to bounce to the downside. Most likely, we may see this level being taken out anytime soon, if possible this year, and then next year we may see another move continue to the downside. Ultimately, we are looking at this key level in the nearby future. So let's look at the second pair, and this is AUD Swiss franc. Now, AUD Swiss franc, we have something very interesting. On a weekly chart, again, we can see that the main trend is to the downside. We can see that the price has been making very nice lower lows and lower highs, lower lows and lower highs on a weekly chart. This trend line being in control of the prices. Later on, we can see that we got price print this level here, this bottom, and then it came and printed another bottom, which means that this is a two bottom pattern or a double bottom pattern that seems to have formed. And usually when we get such a double bottom on a weekly chart, we usually see buyers accumulate and push us upwards temporarily or sometimes even for a long period of time. But for now, we are interested in seeing how price will bounce upwards, and if it breaks this trend line that has been controlling sellers, most likely we will see buyers continue to push price upwards into this key level. So for now, we want to see how price will react in this zone, but I think that this trend line at least will be reached by buyers, and once that happens, we want to see this trend line being broken And then when we buy, we will be looking at this key level. For now, we are not looking for selling opportunities. We are simply waiting to see this key level or this trend line being broken so that we can buy a move that is taking us to this next key level. So in the meantime, we may look for entries if we get very clear signals on lower time frame, but these entries will be pointing to the upside. So whatever risk we are making on AUD Swiss franc now is pointing us to the upside, and we are looking at buying this pair strongly if this level or this trend line is broken. We believe that there will be a strong or a long-term pullback, which may take us to this key level or even this one here. So let's look at the next pair. This is CAD Swiss franc. Now, CAD Swiss franc is a bit tricky to trade, but again, we will still look for entries when we get opportunities. So what we are seeing is we have this trend line on a weekly chart. There was this gap that we can take note of from this area into this zone. Price started pushing to the downside, but in a slow motion. Slowly, but steadily. You can see that price has been pushing to the downside, but slowly and steadily. Something very significant to take note of is that when price tested this zone, it was pushed up, or sellers were pushed up, and since then, we got into this tight consolidation. Since 2014, we have been in this consolidation on a weekly chart until now. So the price for CAD Swiss franc is still in consolidation phase on a weekly chart, and we believe that price will continue to be controlled between this upper line and this lower line for some good time. But where it is now, since it is close to the lowest level, I would be interested in looking for buying opportunities coming towards this upper level again. So for now, I'm not looking for selling opportunities for CAD Swiss franc. I am only looking for the break of this trend line and then buying, looking at this key level. And once this key level is broken, most likely we will be going to this next key level. But for now, on lower time frame, we will be only looking for buying opportunities and not selling opportunities. When price crosses this trend line, that to me will be confirming that buyers will be strong enough to come to this level, or if possible, to this level. Of course, if price fails from this level, most likely we will see this move again push to the downside. Should we get this other move to the downside before the break of this trend line, most likely I'll first stay aside and wait for consistent failure of price going up. And once sellers get control of prices below this level for some good time, then it's highly likely that this move to the downside will be successful and the selling will still be strong, whereby we shall be looking for the distance of this consolidation phase between this upper line and this lower line to the downside from this broken level. That is, if price succeeds breaking this level before breaking the trend line, and we see sellers consistently keeping price below this red line. So let's look at the next pair, and this is EURO-AUD. Now, EURO-AUD is a pair that has been pushing to the upside. We can see that first of all, we had this move to the downside, which was very strong. And then we had this move to the upside again, which was very strong. Later on, we got a sharp pullback into this trend line. And we can see that this is one touch or price failed in this zone. Price failed in this zone. And now we can see that price, after failing from this zone, it pushed up strongly and got stuck into this area. We can see 3 failures in this zone, an indication that buyers have lost momentum in this area, and most likely, most of them who had bought have taken profit in this zone. So in my opinion, it makes sense to get or to wait for a pullback, and this pullback, if possible, it should come into this trend line one more time, where we shall find buying opportunities looking towards this key level, and if possible, breaking it and running towards this one. Otherwise, for now, I'm interested in getting a pullback. Now, if this pullback fails to come and touch this trend line, we shall be monitoring on lower time frame because this pair is strongly bullish. However, I'm not interested in buying at the moment. At least I want to see a pullback. Now, it will depend on how strong this pullback will be. Should the sellers get stronger, I'll be expecting the pullback to end in this trend line. If the sellers are weak, then anywhere in between, we may get good signs on lower time frame to buy this pair, looking at this key level, and if possible, this key level. That is Euro AUD. Let's look at the next pair. This is EURCAD. Now, EURCAD has something very interesting. We can see that we had this key level, and we have another key level to the downside here. We can see that price pushed up, downwards from that area all the way into this area. Let alone, we got buyers, and price was pushed upwards into this zone. And since then, we can see that multiple times price kept bouncing up and down in this zone. We can see that clearly buyers were getting rejected in this zone. This is the first time, second time, third time, fourth time of price being rejected in this zone. An indication that buyers are not willing to continue buying this pair whenever it reaches this zone. Now, we can see that this move came into this area. It failed to reach this level, and buyers stepped in, pushed price up again into this zone, which has been causing trouble for the buyers. So in my opinion, now since price is again in the same zone, it's highly likely that we shall see buyers stop buying this pair and sellers step in to push price back into this key level. Should price eventually break this key level, which has been troubling buyers for some good time, then it's highly likely that our next key level will be this one here. But for now, I'm interested in selling opportunities, especially since price has failed from this zone where price has been failing from previously multiple times. My interest is in seeing price go to the downside, so I'm interested in this move to the downside back into this key level for EURCAD. Let's look at the next pair. This is Euro Swiss franc. Euro Swiss franc has been going to the downside for some good time. Since 2007, we have been selling this pair all the way through 2024. Now, something very interesting. We can see that price here, it was rejected, it moved up. Then we had this sharp and quick move into this area around 2015. Again, price or sellers got rejected strongly, and we can see that the price moved up back into this key level. Now, since then, price started pushing to the downside slowly but steadily, and then we can see that the bearish trend or the selling trend has gotten back into this area or this zone, which now to me looks like a double bottom zone. So in my opinion, where price is now, it is a zone which qualifies this to be a double bottom zone or a two bottom zone. Having drawn this trend line, for me, I believe we may, one, either get price bounce the downside again to come and test this key level or break it, or break from above or break this trend line from above, and then we see buyers continue taking us upwards, at least into this key level or even this key level in the coming months. Now, where is my interest? I am so much interested in seeing this trend line being broken and buyers continue to trade consistently above this trend line, so that when we buy, we will be looking at this key level and we'll be looking at this key level. That's my idea and that's my interest. So for now, I'm not interested in selling this move that comes to this key level. Why? Because the distance between where price is now and where this key level is, to me, it is not as attractive as the distance between where price will be after breaking this trend line and where I'll be expecting it to go. So I'm interested in this stronger move that goes to the upside. Let's look at the next pair. The next pair is Euro New Zealand dollar. Euro New Zealand dollar, we can see that we had this move very strong to the downside. And since then, price started pushing to the upside. It got stuck in this area, came down to this area, and then started pushing to the upside. So in my opinion, we can say that we have this failure, we have this failure, we have this failure. So therefore, this is a very major trend line. And I would be interested in the future to buy when price has come back into this trend line. It's highly likely that may fail to break this key level and come into this trend line, and then we see buyers pushing up to come and if possible into this high long-term key level. So for now, I'm interested in the pullback. The pullback has already started, in my opinion. I want to see price come into this trend line. And like I said, for Euro AUD, if sellers fail to push price into this trend line one more time, it's highly likely, it's also possible to see buyers take over anywhere in this zone. But for now, I'm not buying where price is. I'm waiting for a pullback. So it will depend on how strong this pullback will be. If it is strong enough to come into this zone, good. In case it fails, then I will still be looking for buying opportunities when it ends on lower time frame anywhere in this zone. Lower time frame, since I'm talking about, or since I'm using the weekly chart for now, when I talk about lower time frame, I'm not going below 4-hour chart. I'm looking at 4-hour chart at least, then daily chart, and then upwards. So I'm looking for a pullback, whether it fails in this zone or comes the trend line. I'll be looking for buying opportunities, looking for this, the break of this key level, and eventually looking for this area. Should price come back and fail in this zone, most likely it will be again selling to come and look for this trend line before it can go up. But if it breaks it, then it's highly likely that buyers will be continuing targeting this other major key level. Let's look at another pair, and this is Euro USD. Euro USD, we can see that we have this key trend line on a weekly chart. Price is making very nice lower lows and lower highs on a weekly chart for Euro USD. We have this key level, we have this key level, and now we can see that price has been in consolidation. Price failed in this zone multiple times, and now this is the zone where price has reached currently. So in my opinion, one, we can see that price is in a zone where it has been fading from. Two, we can see that price is close to this trend line that goes to the downside. Therefore, I am so much interested in selling Euro USD back into this key level, and if possible, breaking it and going to the downside, printing a new lower low on a weekly chart. And should price break this trend line, I'll first stay aside and watch to see what happens. Most likely, if this key level, if this trend line is broken from above, most likely we may get a false break, and again sellers may step in and push to the downside. So for now, I am interested in selling Euro USD and not buying it. Let's look at the next pair. The next pair is Great Britain Pound Swiss franc. Great Britain Pound Swiss franc has been pushing to the downside for many years, since 2008 or even before. We can see that sellers have been in control all the way into 2022. So we can see that in 2022, we had this rejection. But even before then, we can see that in 2011, we had this rejection, had this rejection in 2016. This was 2013. So since then, we got another rejection in 2019. And now we can see that we had another major rejection in 2022. So in my opinion, it's highly likely that with all these rejections, these were symptoms of a strong move to the upside or a strong pullback of this pair. So want to see how price will eventually behave. What we have again is this trend line that has been falling or controlling prices to the downside. So what I'm interested in now is seeing this trend line being broken successfully, price trading above it consistently. Then the buying will be strong enough to come into this key level, or even this key level, or even beyond that level. But for now, I would like to see buyers successfully break this trend line, and then we will buy targeting this key level first, and then eventually we will be looking at this one. If price continues to the downside, to come and retest this key level or even break it, I will first stay aside and wait. If it breaks this trend line, or if it gives me good signals to buy before it breaks it, I'll be buying Great Britain pound, Swiss franc, looking at this key level first, and then eventually this key level. Let's look at another pair. This is Great Britain pound, US dollar. Great Britain pound, US dollar is selling nicely on a weekly chart. We can see that the trend line, the major trend, is to the downside. We may get push-ups, but I'm interested in selling opportunities since the main trend is to the downside. We can see that price on a weekly chart has been making very nice lower lows and lower highs, lower lows and lower highs, and again being controlled by this major trend line on a weekly chart. So for me, since price is in a zone close to the trend line, but also after breaking this key level here, in my opinion, we are going to get another move to the downside, and that move is likely going to come into this key level here. That's where I am looking at, or that's where I'm putting my eyes. So should price fail anywhere in this zone, I am selling Great Britain pound, US dollar, and I'm looking for this key level to be touched or even broken. Now, if price comes back into this trend line one more time, I'll be getting a better entry. But even before, if I get good signals before touching the trend line, it is possible that I'll be selling Great Britain pound, US dollar, targeting this key level. Let's look at the next pair, and this is New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Now, New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar is very interesting. One, we can see that we had this move to the upside, and then since then, price failed to make a new higher high. So eventually, it started making new lower lows on a weekly chart. After bouncing from this key level, in my opinion, it's highly likely that we will get another move to this zone whereby price may come back to print a double bottom or even break the zone and make a lower low. So I'm interested in selling New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, and I'm not looking for buying opportunities for now. So what I'm looking for is entry on lower time frame, entry signals on lower time frame, daily chart, 4-hour chart, and I will be selling this pair first to break this key level, next to come to this key level. The trend line, in my opinion, will continue to control price to the downside. So I am looking for selling opportunities. If price struggles eventually and it touches the trend line, that will be very good for me. I'll be getting a better entry. But even before, if it fails to reach that zone, I am already looking for entry signals on lower time frame to sell New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, looking at first this key level, next this key level. Let's look at the next pair. And this is New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc has been selling for some good time. Since 2006, we can see that sellers have been in control, slowly but surely or steadily. This is one of the most pairs, or is one of the pairs that sell slowly or that move slowly. So we can see that the moves since 2006 have been not very sharp or not very fast, but steadily price has been going to the downside. Especially after this move, we can see that it got into consolidation, but it continues the downside slowly but steadily. So in my opinion, the trend is still going to the downside. However, after all this move since 2006, we can see that price has now left the trend line for some good time. And on a weekly chart, we can see that the price is being rejected. Sellers are being rejected. So I'm interested in getting a pullback into this trend line one more time, or if possible, breaking it and making a false break, and then selling this move that will come to break this previous or recent lower low, and if possible, print a new lower low. So for now, I'm not selling this pair. I want to see a pullback at least into this trend line. And once that happens, I'll see if price will be able to give a false break or fail from there, or even continue into that key level. So I'm looking at a pullback first before I can sell. In other words, if I get an opportunity to buy, I'll buy on a lower time frame, believing that I will get a short-term opportunity getting into this trend line or even breaking it for some short time, and then sellers will be in control. I'll be selling the major trade. If I ignore this move, then I'll wait for the major selling opportunity whereby price is likely to come and break this trend line or give us a false break, or even it can go into this key level, and then I'll be looking for a major selling opportunity, looking at this key level or even breaking it. Let's look at another pair. This is USD-CAD. USD-CAD is my last pair in this video. I'm looking at a very significant move expected. This is a weekly chart again. We can see that we had this double bottom, price moved up, and since then it got stuck in this area. In other words, we have this failure, we have this failure, we have this failure. The lower side, we have this zone, we have this zone, we have this zone. So in other words, on a weekly chart, price is in consolidation. This is the upper line of the consolidation. This is the lower line of the consolidation. Call it a rectangle. In other words, price is in a very nice rectangle on a weekly chart for USD-CAD. Therefore, since price is already in the upper zone of this rectangle, it is better to look for selling opportunities, believing that price will come back into the lower line of the rectangle. In other words, price is already in the upper line of the rectangle. I will be looking for selling opportunities to the bottom of the rectangle. So the selling opportunity I'm looking for is this move. I want to see price come into this key level, and if possible, break it and continue into this key level. If price bounces from this key level again, most likely we will buy back into this key level. But I am so much interested in seeing sellers continue into this key level, and if possible, break it and continue all the way into this area. For now, I'm not looking for buying opportunities. Why? Because price is already in the zone where buyers have been fading from for some good time. In fact, since 2014, price has been fading from this zone, and in my opinion, sellers are going to take over, and we will see price continue all the way back into this zone. This is my first area of attention, and if this zone is broken, we can see that again, price has been fading from this zone multiple times. So if it is broken, most likely we will be selling all the way into this key level. Otherwise, that's what I have to share in this video. We will be able to meet in other videos, but let me see or know what you think about these pairs. But these, to me, are pairs or opportunities that are going to be paying off for some good time. 2025 remaining months and 2026, and most of them may end up pushing in the same direction as we have analyzed for 2027. Let's meet in other videos, and I wish you the best of your trading week as the market opens.